TauX every day. Follow socials, here's the way.
GurlTauX, every platform come to play. Catch our vibe, don't delay.
Facebook, YouTube streams, scrolling through your daily memes. Gurl TauX Show, don't miss out. Join the fun and see what Gurl TauX is all about. Keeping it real, it's what we do. So tune in now and join our crew. Life's moving through the screen, click subscribe, don't be mean. Upbeat chatter, it's our routine. Gurl TauX Show, don't miss out. Join the fun and see what Gurl TauX is all about. GurlTauX is who we are. Come hang with us on your tablet, phone, or screen. Anywhere Gurl TauX can be seen. Gurl TauX Show, don't miss out. Join the fun, see what Gurl TauX is all about. Update stories, laugh and cry. It's Gurl TauX, so don't question why. It's the show that you'll adore. Come back daily to get some more. Gurl TauX Show, don't miss out. Join the fun, see what Gurl TauX is all about. GurlTauX is who we are. Come hang with us on your tablet, phone, or screen. Anywhere Gurl TauX can be seen. Gurl TauX Show, don't miss out. Join the fun, see what Gurl TauX is all about. GurlTauX, log in now, watch our show. Likes and comments, let them flow. Every day we're on our way. Gurl TauX Show is here to stay. Gurl TauX Show, don't miss out. Join the fun, see what Gurl TauX is all about.
Hello. It is a Monday. How is your Monday going so far? Mine has been rather interesting. I mean, it's not that it's been bad or anything, but I have been working on kind of redoing some stuff. I was supposed to be on 30 minutes ago, but I was having a little bit of a problem. So I'm here now. So that's all I can say is, whoop, let's get that sound off. We don't want to hear it. We don't want to hear it. We just want to see it in case there is any comments. So if somebody comments, please do. I will answer your comments. And starting next week also, I mean, you can do it now, but it's a little bit of a pain. But starting next week, I will have call-in, so you can call into the show. Right now it'll work, but I have a different phone that I'm going to dedicate to the call-ins. So I don't have that here yet. Well, I mean, the phone is here. I just can't find it. It's lost. I have to find where I misplaced my dear, wonderful other phone. Oh, I just love it. Love it. And it's not because it's a Monday. I literally misplaced this phone a little while ago. So, not sure where I put it. Lost. Who knows? Anyway, let's get to our show for today. As you can see, our show is called Rogue Judges: When Judges Ditch Justice for Activism. Okay, why am I doing a show like this? Why am I talking about this in the first place? It's because I don't want to see when our systems start working against its people with a motivated by some kind of inappropriate or vendetta or whatever. And I feel like there's an awful lot of people that have a vendetta towards Donald Trump, and therefore we're going to stop him by whatever means. And I also have some of my own theories as to what and why some of these judges are doing what they're doing. And I will interject my opinion and my conspiracy theory, if you will, into why I think some of this is happening. So, anyway, welcome to Gurl TauX. We're here to empower women and speak the truth, live boldly, and laugh loudly. That's what I do. I like to do that kind of thing. As you know, I'm your host, Tori. Tonight, we're going to be diving into this hot topic of rogue judges. You know, some folks are great with judging others, just not themselves. I'm one of those. When I was at my son's boot camp graduation, we met one of his fellow recruits that was graduating's mother, whom I had been in contact with before she actually before they actually graduated. And we were sitting in the bar. It was super funny. And we were talking kind of, sort of, a little bit of smack about the other people that we were seeing around, what they were wearing, how they were acting, stuff like that. Some of the people, some of the sisters, some of the girlfriends, some of the mothers came to boot camp graduation at a Marine Corps installation wearing some of the worst or most inappropriate things. So we were talking about it. We were saying what we personally thought about the way they were dressed. And oh my God, let me tell you, they were so inappropriate. I should bring my mic over here. They were so inappropriate. It made me rather irritated because these are boys who've been, or men who have been without any girls for a very long time. They're stuck in their barracks with a bunch of other dudes. And it's graduation where they have to be very formal and appropriate. And here they come in their hoochie gear. It's like, seriously, you don't do that. You dress appropriately for the occasion. I felt the same way about Jeff Bezos' girlfriend, fiance, Lauren Sanchez, with her gazambas, her cantaloupes, her melons, just all out on display at the inauguration. There's a time and a place, and that was not a bikini contest, so that's not the time and the place. That's my opinion. That's how I feel about it. So that being the case, you know, we were talking about it, and she says, I know, I am judgy, just not of myself. And I started laughing, and I said, that needs to be on a shirt. I am judgy, just not of myself, because we all are that way. Do we not all have that way of, we judge everyone else, but we forget that we are doing the same thing as others? So anyway, tonight we're diving into our hot topic of rogue judges. Say rogue enough times. It sounds like road. I meant rogue, like rogue. They're not doing what they're supposed to be doing. They're off on their own. They're going crazy. But when judges ditch justice for activism, we have a problem. We have a big problem when they start doing that. We can't have them doing that. It's really, really not good. So anyway, we're going to do that. Like that judge who threw shade at my last outfit in traffic court, honey, my heels were on point and your gravel game. I wrote that. I wrote that joke, not a funny joke. Bump. It did not land. We've got a packed show today, though, starting with a fiery monologue on judges who've traded their robes for activism. Then our fan favorite Dear Margaret segment. Ladies, keep those questions coming. I really appreciate it when you send those in. Don't forget to send them in. And like I said, I will be having where you can actually call in here. You could call in now because this phone is connected, but this is not the number I want to give out to public. The other one I don't mind giving out to public because I won't answer it unless I'm on the show. And then who knows if it's a spam, I'll answer it on the show. I don't care. But then we'll get to our fan favorite, Dear Margaret segment. Ladies, keep those questions coming. Like I said, I appreciate that. You can email them to dearmarge at MARG. Not at. Dear Marge, DEARMARG at Gurl TauX, GURLTauX.com. Anyway, when we start letting people who are in charge of our justice system, which our justice system is supposed to be blind, not supposed to see anything. And it's becoming chaotic with these rogue judges, from criminal arrests to blocking Trump's deportation policies. So grab your coffee, your wine, or your righteous indignation, and let's get started. What do you guys think about this part of it? Do you see a problem with these judges and the things that they are doing? Okay, so I have a little bit of a problem with this stupid ass thing. All right, so let me see if I can fix this while I'm talking, because this is not working for me. So I'm gonna I have some notes over here, and I was trying to use my other prompter. It is not working for me, so I'm not going to do that. So if you see me looking over here, it is because I am trying to have some of the notes that I actually did pull up, but it's harder to read that way, or to even see to talk about the right way. So, all right, ladies and some gentlemen, let's talk about the elephant in the courtroom. Yeah, rogue judges. Recently, 2 judges, Milwaukee's Hannah Dugan and former New Mexico Judge Joel Cano, were arrested for criminal behavior. Not for flapping their gums about free speech or that they need due process. Even if they're going to get due process, they have to be arrested first. Dugan allegedly helped an illegal immigrant, Eduardo Flores Ruiz, dodge ICE by sneaking him out a jury door. Cano and his wife were busted for harboring Venezuelan gang member tied to Trende Aragua. I can never say that right. A group so dangerous they've been labeled terrorists by not only President Trump, but also the El Salvadorian president. These aren't your friendly neighborhood activists. These are judges breaking the law to shield criminals. Shield criminals. We need to be realistic about what they're doing. They are harboring someone who was in court, that one in Milwaukee, Judge Dugan protected. He was in court against 2 people that he committed assault on. So this isn't about compassion gone wrong. It's about disturbing trend that is starting to happen. Judges turning activists, thinking they're above the law. Like they are the judge, jury, and executioners of everything. Of everything. And that's not the facts. They're not above the law. Remember the phrase, no one is above the law, when they were going after Donald Trump? It's been parroted by every anti-Trump talking head from here to Timbuktu. Well, guess what? It's coming home to roost now. And these rogue judges are feeling that heat. Rogue judges, attorneys, all sorts of people, politicians. So let's set the stage historically. The judicial branch, as designed by our founding fathers in Article 3 of the Constitution, is supposed to be the impartial referee. Alexander Hamilton wrote in Federalist Number 78 that judges should exercise neither force nor will, but merely judgment. Their job is to interpret the law as written, not to rewrite it based on personal feelings or political agendas. Justice is blind. blind to party, blind to passion, blind to protests outside the courthouse. But they're not. They're inviting it into their courthouse. They're embracing it. They're inviting it into their homes. Today, we see some judges are actually ripping off that blindfold and picking sides. They're not impartial. They're not balancing judgment. They're not weighing the facts of the law. I mean, it is in the law to not illegally come into this country. You also can't assault people. That's part of a law. That's called crime. And there is also written laws about harboring a criminal. And that is actually a crime. That's what these judges are doing. But we're now being under fire for going after them. You know, you take Trump's deportation policies, he's targeting illegal aliens who committed crimes. Or, remember, being an illegal alien is also a crime. So he's going after MS-13, murderers, rapists, gang members like the Trinidad or Aragua. According to ICE in 2024 alone, over 56,000 illegal immigrants with criminal convictions were deported. Yet judges like James Boasberg in D.C. are throwing up roadblocks, issuing orders to halt deportation flights under the Alien Enemies Act. Boasberg, labeled the Democrat activist by the White House, tried to stop planes carrying Venezuelan gang members to El Salvador. Why? Because he thinks he knows better than the elected president. He wasn't elected by 77 point whatever million people. This isn't about hiding Jews from Nazis, as some hyperbolic comparison like those referencing Julian Assange leak might suggest. The Nazis targeted innocent people based on ethnicity. Our Homeland Security is targeting criminals who've broken the laws and pose clear threats to our American people. They have committed crimes. They have raped and murdered people. Conflating those two is not just wrong, it's dangerous. Harboring these criminals is harboring a criminal. We're not going door to door and seeing if you have your papers. We're not going door to door to see if you are Hispanic or if you're a foreigner or if you're from another country or if you don't look white. That's not what's happening here. We can't just say this kind of stuff and let it happen. And let's talk about the Trump witch hunt. Judges like Arthur Engeron, I can never say his name right, in New York, who slapped Trump with a $454 million fine for fraudulently overstating his net worth, and Tanya Chutkan, overseeing Jack Smith's election subversion case, have been accused of bias. Aragon's court saw hundreds of threats after Trump called him unhinged. And Chutkan's has been labeled a Trump-hating judge. These judges aren't just ruling, they're crusading. And that is when we have a problem. We can't let this continue to happen. Then there's the DAs alleged with this anti-Trump agenda. Fulton County's Fani Willis, leading the Georgia election interference case, was criticized by a judge in 2022 for hosting a fundraiser for political rival of Trump ally. Talk about horrific optics. What about the rest of the stuff that went on with Fani Willis? New allegations from a 2024 coalition of 23 state AGs led by Texas Ken Paxton accused Willis of weaponizing the justice system against Trump. The whole entire left side keeps talking about that Trump's going to weaponize the DOJ, when Biden and Hillary weaponized the DOJ and Obama weaponized the DOJ. Are you kidding me? New York AG Letitia James, who campaigned on getting Trump, faces similar claims of political motivated prosecutions, with her $363.8 million civil fraud case against Donald Trump now exceeds $450 million with interest. The hypocrisy is thicker than my grandma's gravy. It seriously is a major problem. Not to mention the fact that those cases, I am certain, will get overturned when they go to the Supreme Court. And he's going to have to go through all of these things to get these cases that shouldn't have even gone before the courts in the first place thrown out and removed. But this is a very slippery slope that we are on. This is not a bunny hill. This is a black diamond. When district judges misuse their power, it erodes trust in the judiciary system. And I mean, we've had problems with the justice system for how long now? For a very long time, we've had problems with the justice system. People saying it's not fair. And these judges, in my opinion, are really showing that they are not impartial. So how are they going to be impartial with Joe Blow going into court if they hate men? Are they going to act like an activist towards the man and not give him a fair trial or a fair shake? What if they hate women? You know, I mean, we have to start thinking about this. This is not just about Trump. This is not just about the deportations. This is not just about what's happening with our political side of it. It's about how this could happen to the normal average person if they just don't like you. If you go to court against one of these activist judges and they look up your social media, or the DA looks up your social media, or anybody looks up any of your stuff anywhere, anytime, and find that you have a Trump hat on at one point in time, and boom, you don't get a fair shake in court because you like Trump. It could be a traffic ticket. Doesn't matter. Last 20 people that came up, he said, I'll just drop it down to this. How about you do traffic school and we'll get rid of the points. You get up there and they find out you're a Trump supporter. Now, you shouldn't be wearing a hat to court, but what if you were? Just for, purposes of respect, you shouldn't be wearing a hat in court. Most of the time they do tell you take your hats off. However, they still follow under that old saying that ladies didn't have to take off their hats, because back in the old days, ladies did not remove their hats, only the gentlemen did. A lot of courts, I've heard that. Gentlemen, you have to take off your hats. They don't necessarily say it to the women. But when these district judges and county city judges start misusing their power, again, like I said, it erodes the trust in the judiciary system. We already have an issue with the justice system, and now this is just making it worse and worse. A 2023 Gallup poll showed 43% of Americans have confidence in the justice system, down from 65% in 2001. If judges keep playing activists, that number's only going to keep going down and down and down and down. The law isn't a feelings factor. It's a framework for justice. It was built to be our framework for how we keep things just in this country. Again, for thee, but not for me. I am judgy, just not of myself. I know it was a joke, but at the same time, is that what they're doing? When judges forget that they're not just rogue, they're a threat to our republic. And it is a republic. It is not a democracy. What is a democracy? What is the definition of a republic versus a democracy? Let's look that up. I am going to look that up real quick. Definition of democracy versus republic. constitutional republic. We are a constitutional republic. Well, that wasn't a good lookup. I don't like it when I accidentally go to, when I go to, accidentally hit it and it goes to, what my brain can't brain. My brain is not braining. When I hit that and it goes to, a Reddit, then it's a bunch of people just bullshitting and discussing it. Okay. So I just pulled this up on Grok. So let's discuss this on Grok here. Okay. Share that screen and remove from screen. I don't know why that one was there. Okay. So let's show this here. Democracy is a system of government where the power lies directly or indirectly with the people, typically through majority rule. In a pure democracy, citizens vote directly on laws and policies, prioritizing the will of the majority. Key figures including broad participants, free elections, and equal voting rights. However, it can risk tyranny of the majority, where majority rights may be overlooked. Okay, so that means the people would be overlooked based on our elected officials, because that's where all the rules come, is by the majority. And if they just decide that we want to do this, the people don't have any say in it. Constitutional republic is a system where elected representatives govern according to constitution that limits government power and protects individual rights. The US is a constitutional republic with a framework, the Constitution, that ensures checks and balances through branches of government: legislative, executive, and judicial. And safeguards like the Bill of Rights, it emphasizes the rule of law over majority whims. That is the most important part. Democracy focuses on majority rule, potentially at the expense of minorities. And that's not by racial, just minority areas. So like if you went, and that's one of the things that's been brought up many, many times. Why do we have the electoral college? It's not fair. It should be based on I mean, in this election, it would have still gotten Donald Trump, but they want it to be based on the majority. Who had the majority of the votes? Well, if in many circumstances, Texas, California, and New York would then decide who the president is, and everybody else would not count. That would be more of a democracy type. Now, I hear the liberals all the time throwing out that democracy, democracy, democracy. But we're not a democracy. We're a constitutional republic, which prioritizes individual rights and legal constraints, with representatives making decisions with constitutional limits. The U.S. combines elements of both using democratic elections, but within a Republican structure to prevent mob rule and protect liberties. I mean, that is a very important factor that we have to look at. Very important factor. When judges forget that part of it and they start letting their feelings take over, their activism to take over, if you will, they then become the threat themselves to our republic. When they are harboring criminals under a guise, and when people are saying things like, oh, it's like when the Nazis went and hunted down the Jews and people were harboring the Jews. No, it's not the same thing. And we got to stop with this nonsense. Trump nor any of his supporters are Nazis. Now, yes, are there racists? There is. There always is. There always will be. But that's not the reason for everything. So, does anybody know what time it is? It's time for Dear Margaret, where we tackle your questions with sass, wisdom, and a sprinkle of tough love. Want to join the fun? Email your questions to Dear Marge, DearMarg, at Gurl TauX, GurlTauX.com. Let's dive into today's letters. Let's get to Dear Margaret. I cannot tell you, and I know my intro song, I gotta fix it because it says 7 p.m. We will be coming at 5 p.m. Monday through Friday. 5 p.m., not 7 anymore. Just to clarify, it used to be 7. It is now going to be 5. Today was 5:30. So I guess today's 5:30 to 7. Tomorrow it should be 5 to 6:30 or 6, depending on if I have a shorter show. But it'll either be 6 or 6:30 starting at 5 o'clock. Just to clarify.
Dear Margaret's here, let's dive right in. Bring your questions, let's begin. Life's a real maze. We'll help you with your coping. Dealing with life in this rat race. Honest thoughts, no sugarcoating.
Tell us your tales, your woes, your gripes. No fluff, no bows, just real life types. Sign it clever, let your pen take flight. We'll serve the truth, sharp and bright.
Send us a query, take a lead. No hidden rules, no secrets to keep. Anonymous wisdom that cuts so deep. Dear Margaret's advice you'll want to reap. But in the end, let's admit, we all really don't care, Margaret.
Well, there we go. Dear Margaret. So I'm going to try to read this where you can still hear me on the mic and I can still see the questions. Hello? Does this thing work? I have to say that I really enjoy these letters that come in. Again, I'm going to tell you one more time. Email your questions to dearmarge at gurltaux.com, DearMarg at GurlTauX.com. I really do enjoy reading these, and then I do compile them and try to put them in with at least somewhat in categories, and then I can go pull them from that category. And you can always send them in a comment on the show if it's related to the show. And I haven't done the Dear Margaret segment. If it comes in on a comment, I will immediately put that one in because you sent it. Again, you can email them and then I can put them in the categories. So question number 1, Dear Margaret, my sister's always judging my life choices, like my job, my boyfriend, even my new tattoo. How do I tell her to mind her own business without starting World War III? Tired of the side eye in Tulsa. Honey, sisters can be the best and the worst. Next time she throws some shade, all I can say is say, sweetie, I love you, but my life's not your courtroom. Just keep it firm. And I don't know if maybe your sister's a judge, maybe your sister's just judgy. Ask her how often she judges herself. Use that little comment that I said earlier about what did I say earlier? I am judgy, just not of myself. Throw that kind of at her. Keep it firm, but keep it kind. I mean, if she keeps at it, redirect. Ask about her life. Ask about her life. See if she understands the joke when you say, I am a little bit judgy, just not of myself. People love talking about themselves. And that tattoo, rock it. with confidence. I mean, if you like it and you got it and it's your tattoo, I'm getting a tattoo here very soon. You're not on trial, and if she doesn't like your tattoo, that's kind of her problem. I mean, unless it's really super ugly, then maybe it is. Maybe. But, I mean, it sounds to me like she just doesn't like you getting tattoos. But it also sounds like she judges everything. Your job, your boyfriend, and your new tattoo. So, and I'm going to be devil's advocate here. Maybe she's looking out for you. Maybe you are making some poor decisions. I mean, if she's judging your job, your boyfriend, and your tattoos, I mean, you didn't say drinking or any of that stuff in there, but I mean, if she's judging everything you're doing, maybe you need to look at the things you're doing and see if she has any merit to what she's saying. If there isn't, ignore it. Tell her to mind her own business. But if there's merit there, maybe you look at what she's saying and see if there is any merit involved. Because sometimes the truth hurts. So sometimes we do have to hear what other people have to say, and sometimes we don't like it. I'm one of those. I tell my husband all the time, tell me when something I do bothers you or irritates you or you're, whatever, and you want me to not do something or do something, blah, 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 whatever, but tell me. And I have to clarify that with, I may not take it well. I may not like what you are saying, but give me a minute. Let me go. And I will let it marinate a little bit. It might marinate like lemon and salt in a wound, or like vinegar. What was that line from Blindside when she says, "You might be right." And he said, "Oh my God, how did that feel coming out?" And she said, "Like vinegar." But it's true. Like, we have a tendency of not realizing that we have issues. So there is a thing behind the truth hurts. So sometimes what you're saying does hurt. And sometimes you need to do your own reflection. Sometimes you need to marinate on that lemon juice, vinegar, salt concoction that is truth. And then if you're still like, hey, I'm good, then maybe she's in the wrong. Just saying. All right. So back here, let's get back to our questions. Number 2 here is coming. Dear Margaret, I'm 45 and feel like I'm too old to start over after my divorce. My ex was a control freak and now I'm scared to trust my own judgment. Any advice? Second chances, Sally in Savannah. Well, Sally, 45 is the new 25. You know? It is. 45 is the new 25. Which means if the 54, what is 54 then? Is it like 40? 35? I don't know. Minus the bad decisions. You're not starting over, you're starting better. You learned some things from that. The ex, he's history. Or she's history. This doesn't say, oh, I guess it was Sally. So he's history. To rebuild trust in yourself, you have to start small, little tiny bits at a time. Pick a new hobby like painting or kickboxing and celebrate all your wins. Therapy's great too. It's like a personal trainer for your soul, your mind. You're the judge of your future now, so rule in favor of you. Also, what you didn't put in that little question is how long you were with your ex. So if it was a short-lived relationship, then I would say your judgment wasn't too bad because you figured out real quick that this was not going to work. But at the same time, we all have to evaluate our own judgment. Sometimes I have always said I was very, very good with business decisions and my career stuff, and I was dedicated and hard. But when it came to men, I was like scrambled eggs. I made bad decisions until I decided to put myself first, to make boundaries and set boundaries that I lived by. When I met my husband, I'm going to tell a story on my husband. Sorry, babe. Don't take it personal. I love you. I love you dearly, but I am going to tell a story that happened. And it was when I first set absolute boundaries. Now, one boundary that I set from the very beginning, and it started, and I learned this from my mother. We went out on one of our first dates, and he got out of the truck and he walked to the restaurant where we were going. It took him a minute to realize I wasn't there. And he turned around and came back to the truck, and I was sitting in the seat. And he opens the door and he's like, "What's up?" And I said, "You're not going to open my door for me?" I've never had to ask him to open the door for me ever again. Never, ever have I had to ask him to open the door for me. He automatically, when I go and open the door myself, and because we're in a hurry, he knows I'm realizing we're in a hurry and I'm taking care of business. But I made a point that, hey, I'm important. I need to be felt like I'm important. When I set a boundary like that, he listened to it, he paid attention, and he followed it. But I had not set boundaries for myself in the past, and the men and the decisions that I made reflected that. When you do those things, it helps with your judgment also, because when you set boundaries for yourself and put yourself at a position that you want to be held, respect-wise, decision-wise, when they don't do it, you know who they are. When they do, you will feel loved, cared for, and appreciated. So take that into account. That is a very hard thing to do because it is very hard to rely on your judgment when you feel like you have made bad judgments in the past. And it can feel like you just don't trust your own inner judge, jury, and executioner. So you do have to trust yourself a little bit and set those boundaries, and you'll be shocked and surprised at who shows their true colors. Absolutely. All right. Anyway, question number 3. Dear Margaret, my coworker keeps taking credit for my work and my boss doesn't notice. I don't want to seem petty, but I'm fed up. What do I do? Invisible in Indianapolis. Oh man, girl, that coworker stealing your, that is one that really, really ticks me off. I can't stand that in any way, shape, or form. That coworker stealing your spotlight like these rogue judges rewriting the laws. Don't go petty. Go strategic. I know it's not stealing your work, but it's stealing something. So when I was in school, it turned out not so good, but when I was in, I don't mean the school, like it turned out fine for me. But when I was in school, I had this roommate, because I went to boarding schools. So I had this roommate who every time I got a care package, stole my freaking care package every time. And she would eat my cookies or my brownies or whatever my grandma made or my mom sent or what. She'd be eating all my stuff beforehand. And I wouldn't hardly ever get any if I got any at all. She was rude, she was selfish, and she was not okay. So she constantly stole my stuff. No, it's not work and it's not stealing your work. Well, she kind of would, because she would steal my homework and copy it. But that's different. So actually it's equal in both ways. I wrote a report one time because we both had to write our report. So I wrote one, and it was just absolute nonsense gobbledygook. Absolute nonsense. Made no sense at all. Didn't follow the proper topic line. And I left it on my desk. She copied it and turned it in. And then I had a different one that I had written that actually was good. And she got blasted for that piece of crap I wrote. But the cookies, I ended up going with my girlfriend, and we went to we could use the kitchen for like making cookies or something like that. So we got requested a time to go in and use the kitchen, and we baked some chocolate chip cookies with chocolate laxatives. And then we packaged them up in a box and mailed them to myself. And I did put a big old note in there, and on the outside of the box, do not eat. And on the inside, a big note, these are for my granddaughter. Please do not eat them. These are not for you. Do not eat. And she ate a bunch of them, ended up really sick. I think she actually had to go to the hospital. She was so sick from it. I did get in a little bit of trouble, but when the box and the letter were evidence that I had said, do not eat them. Now, I knew what was in them, so I wouldn't have eaten them. Or if I needed to, I could have ate just a little tiny bit. But I knew what was in them. So I purposely did it to teach her a lesson. So the next time you present something, casually say, as I developed in this project, in front of the boss. If it persists, have a calm private chat with your supervisor, armed with some evidence. You're not invisible. You're indispensable. Own that. But also you can set them up. Set them up with some shit that like would make them look like an idiot. That's the devil's advocate part of it. You know, you could set them up so that it becomes very obvious that they stole your shit because they don't know their work. Like put bad numbers in, like some bad information, make it very clear, and then correct it. And then they're going to be like, but you wrote it. Oh, shit. Yeah, I wrote that. Yeah, for you. Just a thought. I mean, you don't have to do that, but sometimes that's going a little petty. I do ride on the petty train. I love me some Tom Petty. Petty White was my favorite. No, I know her name wasn't Petty, but I like to say it that way. I listened to some Petty LaBelle. Yeah. So, you know, keep it clean as you can, but a little petty is okay. All right, number 4. Dear Margaret, I'm worried about all this political division. It's tearing my family apart. How do I talk to my liberal cousin without it turning into a shouting match? Peacemaker in Phoenix. Well, that one's hard. Politics is spicier than my mama's chili these days. Oh, chili. That sounds good. We should make some chili, Steve. If you're watching, we should make some chili. We talked about this recently. He's making me artichokes tonight. Woohoo! I like artichokes. I don't know about you, but I like artichokes. But anyway. He just threw a chicken at me. Like, what kind of human walks into a room and throws a chicken at you, knocking stuff all over my desk? It's a stuffed chicken. So he kicked it and it came across this, knocking stuff off. And then he went, oh. Anyway, hey, I got to give it to him. At least he had the has the fun in his heart to play sometimes. But politics, again, like I said, are chillier than my mama's chili, spicier than my mama's chili. But first, you need to set some ground rules. No yelling, no name calling. Pick one topic like immigration and stick to facts. For example, ICE deported 56,000 criminals in 2024, and quite a few of them were at the end of 2024. Just so you know, it was when Biden decided, or the side decided that they should look a little better right before the election, so they started deporting a bunch of people. Ask her what she thinks about that stat. Then listen. You don't have to agree, but understanding her views might cool things down. Come with some power. Come with information. Come locked and loaded with information, accurate facts, evidence, proof, the receipts, so to speak. Come with some information. And when they say, well, Trump putting kids in cages and separating families, come with the proof that that was a Obama ruling, that happened with Obama and Biden. Come with the facts about the 300,000 plus missing children. Come with some facts and it'll help. But say, hey, we're going to stay on one topic and see where we can come, and maybe we can start aligning with one topic, one thing. And then you can go to the next thing, but start with one thing. And I wouldn't start with the thing that she's heated the most about. Come with the thing that she's heated the least about and start there. I would start small and move your way up. You don't have to agree, but understanding her view and helping her understand your view might help cool things down a little bit. Family's thicker than politics, or so it should be. So end with a hug and let's grab a coffee soon, or let's have a glass of wine. And maybe I'm just saying here, people kind of tend to like relax a little bit with some alcohol. So maybe you should do shots and watch a news broadcast or something, somebody funny, somebody like Gutfeld or whatever, and say, every time they say Trump, we have to drink, or every time they say this, we have to drink. And, have you ever watched the history, Drunk History? And it's where they tell the story, a historical story about history, but they do it drinking. So as they're drinking, they start... It's hilarious. It's really quite funny. So if you did that, you might start finding that as you guys are debating something, you're drinking, and you might start laughing, you might start joking, and it might help. Now that depends if you guys are funny drunks. If you guys are not funny drunks, if you're mean drunks, don't do that. Bad advice. Don't do that with somebody who's got a temper when they drink, because then it's going to turn into a World War III, and you're going to end up with an assault charge or something like that. So make sure you know how each other drinks if you're going to do something like that. Okay? Be careful. But it might be funny to say, let's do a drink and debate night where you just do shots after. And, I have this thing here, and you could set time limits too. This is a game called Devil's Advocate. So what you do with this game, this might be a good game for you guys to play, is Devil's Advocate is silly, serious, and slightly provocative topics that get the party going. Should pineapple be on pizza? Is AI good or evil? Which sin is the deadliest? Take a stance, make your case, then choose someone else to be your devil's advocate. Now let the crowd decide who's the best, funniest, or wildest. And you could take your topics. You can write some of your own topics on there as well, but you can take your topic, and you can also set, like we have a little hourglass for time, and you could set a timer on it. And one of the things that doesn't say in here, now you probably could change some of the rules, and it doesn't have like a whole lot of rules, but I would say you could say something like, okay, everybody gets 1 minute. You get 1 minute to state your case, and the other person gets 1 minute to state their case, and you can't rebut. Or there's one rebuttal for the person that started. Or each of you get one rebuttal, and then the person who started gets the final rebuttal. You could make rules like that. So like this question in particular here that I just pulled out of here is, Is cultural appropriation always wrong? And should there be limits on free speech? There's all sorts of things like that one that should pineapple be on pizza. State your case. 1 minute. The other person gets to state their case. 1 minute. And then everybody decides, or you could do the rebuttals. I like rebuttals because I think everybody should have the ability to rebut when they have something that they feel like they should be allowed to give their viewpoint. That's my opinion. Just my opinion. And it's not always 100%. Like, you don't have to follow that 100%. But I think that you should have the ability to come back with a little bit more. So, all right. We are at 1 hour. So we got 20 minutes or so for our main segment. Alrighty, let's get to the meat of tonight's show. Rogue judges and the mess they're making. Oh my God, it's making me so crazy. We're talking about the judges who've gone from interpreting the law to inventing it or circumventing it or not following it. Feelings over facts. I mean, it's actually become a lot more. From upholding justice to undermining it. Buckle up because this is a wild ride. I mean, really, there's arrests of judges happening. The arrest, Judges Breaking Bad. There's a new TV show for you, Judges Breaking Bad. And I have my conspiracy theory in this. I do. I have a little theory of why I think some of these activist judges that hate Trump so much and hate his supporters so much that I have a conspiracy theory. I don't know if it's anything. Don't know if it will ever become anything, but I have my own theory. And I will state that here in a minute. Let's start with the headline grabbers. Milwaukee County Circuit Court Judge Hannah Dugan was arrested on April 25th, 2025, charged with obstruction and concealing an individual to prevent arrest. Why, you might ask? And how did she do that, you might ask? Well, allegedly, she escorted Eduardo Flores Ruiz, an illegal immigrant with a battery charge, out of a jury door to dodge ICE agents that were out front waiting till after he had his time in court, after the hearing. Flores Ruiz, previously deported in 2013, was caught by ICE after a foot chase around the courthouse, which I think also puts public and the ICE agent officers in danger. Puts the public in danger because now he's on the run and he's, who knows what he would do. He's already committed a battery. But Dugan's actions screamed activism in not just activism, but it was a criminal act. That is a criminal thing to circumvent the law using her courtroom as a escape route for a criminal. They screamed activism over impartiality. She's supposed to be impartial. If there was ICE agents there and they're talking about habeas and that they have the right to a hearing and all that stuff. Well, we didn't have a right to hearings if they came in. They just came in by the boatloads, truckloads, airplane loads. So they should be deported just as quickly. Nobody caring about where and why they were there. Just that she didn't want him to be deported. Then there's this Joel Cano, a former New Mexico judge. I'm not sure how long ago he was a judge, but he was arrested with his wife for harboring alleged Tren de Aragua gang member who was a designated terrorist if he's a member of MS-13 or Trinidad and Aragua, I can't say that word. I keep trying. I'm sorry. But they have been designated a terrorist by the feds and by El Salvador. And we all know Venezuela pushed them to come here. They sent these people that they let out of prison and let out of institutions, mental institutions, and sent them here to the US. That isn't about compassion, it's about shielding dangerous criminals. Tren de Aragua's linked to human trafficking, extortion, murder, the R word, all over the place, of Americans. The judges weren't hiding persecuted innocents. They were aiding and abetting lawbreakers. Period. End of discussion. That's illegal. That's a crime. I am not going to answer that. Judges versus Trump's deportation policies. Trump's back in the White House. Okay, he was elected. 77 million and odd people voted him in. He got the majority and the electoral votes, more than 270 that were required. 307, I think it was in total, or 313, something like that. I don't remember exactly, but pretty close. So he's back in the White House with a mandate to secure the border. The mandate came from the American people. He ran on it. He said he was going to do it, and we wanted him to do it. And he has the most support right now. When you look at the polls, I don't believe in polls. I think they're all bullshit anyway. But the polls are showing that he is like huge numbers on supporting the deportations. Actually, this is pushing people to support it even more. His policies target illegal aliens with criminal records first. Think murderers, drug traffickers, human traffickers, gang members, murderers, R-worders, since you can't say that properly on here, assault. I mean, the list goes on the things that they do. The fentanyl that's coming into this country from illegal aliens is asinine. The amount of people that have died from fentanyl overdoses and fentanyl poisoning, and it's poisoning when it's laced in it, and you didn't know it was there, but yet you have an overdose from it. And I know because my best friend died of fentanyl. And it makes me disgusted and pissed off. So when you think about these people that are murderers and drug traffickers and human traffickers and gang members and all this, that's who we have. That's who they're going after. I said their data shows 271,484 illegal immigrants with criminal charges or convictions were detained in 2024. Yet some judges are throwing wrenches in the work to get rid of them. And I think that was 2025, actually. U.S. District Judge James Boasberg issued a temporary order in March 2025 to block deportation flights under the Alien Enemies Act that Trump had deemed what he was using, targeting Venezuela gang members and El Salvadorian gang members. The Trump administration says these deportees were already out of the U.S. airspace, but Boasberg pushed back, demanding flights and itineraries. Smacks of overreach. He wanted their itineraries. He wanted their time frames. He wanted everything that they were doing. And then he thought, as a district court judge, he could make rulings that were outside of his jurisdiction and outside of his scope. Chief Justice John Roberts even called out Trump's impeachment threats against Boasberg. I have that wrong. Chief Justice John Roberts even called out Trump's impeachment threats against Boasberg, because Trump did put out a threat to impeach Boasberg. And Chief Roberts was like, "Oh, you can't go and impeach them for those things." Yes, you can. and they should. But the question remains, why is the judge meddling in executive authority? He's a district court judge. He's not a Supreme Court judge. And the Supreme Court, I was looking at judges and how many judges and the number required to make a decision or a ruling. How many judges are there in the Supreme Court? That's not what I meant. Okay, so what I was getting at is a district court judge only has to agree with himself. I think it's a state judge has to have one other person agree, and a Supreme Court, I think there has to be 4 or 5 in the Supreme Court to agree. So Judge Boasberg doesn't have to have anybody agree with him to make any actions, but he's not in his jurisdiction. And the Supreme Court has called that any of the decisions being made need to be in the jurisdiction in which the person is at. And district judge in DC would not have anything to do with the ones being deported in Texas. They have to see a Texas judge. Again, why is a judge meddling in executive authority? Why does he think that he circumvents what the President of the United States, who is elected by 77 and more million people? This echoes a 2019 case in Massachusetts where Judge Shelley Joseph was charged with obstruction for helping an illegal immigrant slip out of a courthouse back door. Charges were dropped in 2022 under Biden, but the pattern's clear. Some judges see themselves as social justice warriors, SJWs, not arbiters of the law. It's a problem when they start thinking that they can use their power on the bench to do these illegal activities and think they're above the law. The judicial branch, power and purpose. So what's the judicial branch supposed to do? The Constitution sets it up as a check on the other branches, not a dictator over them. And that is what I think is partially being misunderstood. Judges interpret laws and ensure they align with the Constitution. Marbury versus Madison, 1803, established judicial review, but it didn't give judges a blank check to legislate from the bench. They can't make their own laws. They can't make up their own stuff. Justice Antonin Scalia once said, "The judge who always likes the results he reaches is a bad judge." Impartiality is the bedrock. Like sometimes you have to say, well, there just isn't enough for this case because it doesn't fit within the law. You don't have enough proof. You don't have enough evidence. You don't have blah. It's when murderers get off because there wasn't enough, O.J. Simpson, that was fair because it was very poorly done. Was it right? No. But was it fair? Based on the evidence presented? Yeah. But when judges like Boasberg or Engeron inject personal or political biases, they abuse their power. Absolutely abusing their power. That is not how it is supposed to work. Engeron's $454 million ruling against Trump for financial statement fraud was called egregious overreach by critics, especially since no lenders claimed losses. And they made claims that were absolutely ridiculous that he had no way to fight up against. Judges that would not even hear the cases in the 2020 election, saying based on merit or whatever. Then there was a lot of proof and a lot of evidence that some shenanigans happened there. 2024 Change.org petition with 12,000 signatures demanded a Massachusetts judge removal for alleged bias in a separate case, showing public frustration with judicial activism. And that's happening all over the place. The anti-Trump crusade. The anti-Trump crusade, judicial crusade, extends beyond immigration. Judges like Tanya Chutkan, overseeing Jack Smith's election case, Juan Merchan, who convicted Trump, and I totally mess up their names, who convicted Trump on falsifying business records, have faced accusations of bias. X post from April 2025 called Chutkan and Merchan, I think it's Merchan, rogue activist judges, reflecting conservative sentiment that they're targeting Trump unfairly. Trump called Chutkan Trump-hating and Aragon unhinged. I watched a lot of that stuff, and I was just disgusted. And all they wanted was so that they could say he was convicted. That's all they wanted. They were hoping that everything that they were going to do was going to keep the American people voting for a convicted felon. And it backfired when people started wearing shirts on voting for the felon. I mean, then there ended up being threats against these judges by other activists, which I don't agree with either. I don't agree with threatening anyone. Talk about it. Let's deal with it. Let's figure it out. But you don't threaten people. But also highlighting how their rulings fueled distrust of the judicial system. If they could do this because of their political affiliation and their political opinion, then what are we going to do when it's you in that situation? Like I said before, DAs like Fani Willis and Letitia James are in the same boat. Willis's 2022 fundraiser for a Trump ally rival raised ethical flags. That's very good proof that she should not be in the position that she is in. You have to be unbiased, and that shows bias. 2024 allegations from 23 state AGs claim she's abusing power to harass Trump. James, who vowed to get Trump during her campaign, faces similar accusations in her civil fraud case. These aren't impartial prosecutions, they're political players. A 2023 Rasmussen, I hate some of these names, sorry, report poll found 54% of voters believe Trump's legal battles are politically motivated. They went after him hoping that they could get him any way, shape, or form that they could. They went after his people that worked with him, people who and they jailed them. They went after everybody. I mean, the J6 alone. So little happened in J6, and they call it the worst day in history. Oh my God. Did you forget 9/11? Did you forget Pearl Harbor? I mean, I can name two things that were way worse. The slippery slope. Here's the danger. When judges and DA play favorites, the system crumbles. When they start using their power for evil versus good, and good being impartiality, evil being their own personal opinion. If you can have that personal opinion, and I think a lot of it's corruption, a lot of it is, The judiciary's approval rating is at its lowest in history. 43% in 2023 per Gallup, but right now I think it's at 23 or 26%. If no one is above the law applies to Trump, it applies to Dugan, Cano, Willis, James. Their actions don't just undermine Trump, they undermine faith in justice itself. That's part of the biggest problem. Our conservative stance is clear. Judges must retain their roots, impartial, law-based rulings, blind justice. Blind. They're not supposed to see it. They're not supposed to know. The law isn't a tool for setting scores or pushing agendas or getting your opponents or your friend's opponent or your favored person's opponent. It's the glue that holds the republic together. If we let rogue judges tear it apart, we're not just losing battles, we're losing the war for America's soul, America. What we stand for, what we're about, who we really are. Like I said, I have my own little bit of feelings on what some of these judges might be doing and why they might be, especially in this Cano case. Anyone else who's harboring an illegal like that, especially somebody who's known to be one of the gang members of Tronde and Nicaragua or MS-13 or any of that. The reason I feel this way, and I'm going to explain it here in a minute, is because of the assassination attempts that happened with Trump and how they just really haven't done crap for the investigation. And boom, the guy was shot on the roof, conveniently dead. Can't say he was set up. Can't say that somebody told him, oh, we need you to be on that roof protecting, you know, who knows? He can't argue and say anything because he's dead. Now, I worry about what is their true agenda. Is part of their true agenda, is some of it motivated by pure hatred of Donald Trump and his supporters, that they're hoping in any way, shape, or form that helping them, supporting them, moving them into their house, that there's a possibility that one of them, I mean, from the accusations of Cano, and there was, I guess, video proof evidence of it, that they gave them weapons or they provided weapons or took them to a range so that they could practice their shooting techniques. So my fear is, will somebody be motivated by money or hatred? And we see this with the attacks on Tesla and the vehicles, that if you push people based on your motivations, that they can be motivated to do some pretty heinous shit. So would they or could they be motivated by their hatred so much for Donald Trump that they would be willing to help aid and abet someone because that person has agreed to go after said opponents? And they got to practice, they need a place to stay, they need food, they need shelter, they need whatever it is that they need. And then I will get to a point where I can go and take out these people that you want me to take out. And they have a connection. And let me tell you, knowing people in prison, if you watch J.D. DeLay, a couple other jumpsuit, I can't remember his name, but if you watch them and they talk about it, and they're talking a lot right now about this case with the Anthony stabbing of Austin Metcalf. And they're like, they already know. These people are getting, they get cell phones, not legally, but they get them. They know what's happening. They see what's going on TikTok and X and on social media and YouTube. They already know about this kid. They know what's happening. They know everything that's going on, and they're already taking their bets and deciding what they're going to do. So they have a better mail system in the prison system than we have at the USPS. They get information faster and quicker than anywhere. So, do you not think that some of those requests can go through their channels as quick as possible and boom, they find the right guy in the right place that's been underground or hidden? Do I think that there's some ulterior motives happening? Absolutely, I do. I think that there's more to this than meets the eye. Conspiracy? Their hatred is pretty damn strong. Their hatred is so severely strong that they would do anything, and they push their agenda so much that they hope people will take advantage of it. Hence the reason why not one of them would call out anybody doing these Tesla damage things. And some called for the takedown of Elon Musk for my birthday present. Not mine, hers. Some did this type of behavior. You know who I'm talking about. I don't like saying her name because she's a piece of crap. But when you start putting these and you're pushing these agendas like they're doing, is this not a little bit where you're worried about them trying to settle scores and they're trying to engage something? And these people have no morals, no values. They don't care about anyone or life. And if their hatred is so strong and they believe in their heart of hearts that Donald Trump is the new Nazi, the new Hitler, and they believe it in their heart of hearts, then it would not be in their mind wrong for them to harbor these illegal aliens who would be willing to have no morals and have no values and have no concern for life to help them to achieve some goal. You know, the threats that have been gone after Trump and his team and his people and his family have been horrific. There's already been several attempts on his life, one which almost came to fruition. Whew. That was a lot to unpack, I think. Ladies, what do you think? I hope you're here to start becoming part of my tribe. Are you as fired up as I am about this topic? And it's not because I'm a conservative. It's because I am a constitutionalist and I'm an American, and I see this as a problem. Let's keep this conversation going. You can email me at Tori@gurltauX.com, TORI@GURLTAUX with your thoughts or concerns. You can also email questions that you want to have Dear Marge or Dear Margaret questions to Dear Marge, DEARMARG @gurltauX.com. And please include Dear Margaret at the beginning and some catchy or clever signature at the bottom. It does not have to have your state, but I like having the states in there because it does tell me where you're from. Well, even though we were a little late getting started and we're a half hour late technically being done, technically we're going to be 7 minutes early to our hour and a half show, but that's okay. We're going to wrap it up. That's a wrap for tonight on Gurl TauX. Please join my tribe. Please join my tribe. We dove deep into the rogue judge crisis, laughed a little bit over some Dear Margaret, and got a little sassy and a little petty. I like to ride the petty train. Like I said, love me a little Petty LaBelle, little Tom Petty. Ride that petty white train. So send those questions in. We got real about justice And I want you to empower yourself and keep empowering others. Don't forget to send your questions in to Dear Marge at GurlTauX.com. And don't forget to like, follow, subscribe, share, ring that bell. Ring that bell. That way you can see when I'm on. And I will be, again, reiterating that I changed my time from 7 p.m. to 5 p.m. I will be on at 5 p.m. Monday through Friday, Central Standard Time. That is 6 o'clock Eastern Time and 3 o'clock on the West Coast Pacific Time. We're here every week, Monday through Friday, bringing the truth with a little side of sass and a little bit of my pettiness and a little bit of badassery. But until next time, stay bold, stay true, and stay with Gurl TauX Tribe. Good night, ladies. Good night, gentlemen. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate everyone who comes here. And we are building this channel up. It is new. We are fresh out the gate. This is our 105th episode. So my goal is to hopefully by the time we get to our 200th episode, maybe we'll have 100 followers and continuing from there. Please send in your comments. Don't be afraid to comment on the show while we are live, because I can read your comments and I can put them on air. I am not to a point of worrying about super chats because that is not something that is something I'm worried about at this point in time. But please, I will, at this point in time, there's not enough people, so I will read all chats. So if you want to contribute and say something, I will include it. As soon as I find my missing phone, I will put out that number publicly so you can call in live to the show, and I will put a segment in there for live calls, or if you want to contribute to the conversation, I will include that in there. Anyway, thank you so much for being here. Have a good night, and we will see you.
Thank you for watching Gurl TauX live broadcast, which airs weekdays at 7 p.m.
5 p.m.
Central Standard Time. Don't forget to send in your Dear Margaret questions. Then join us for our opinion-based answers. We love having you. Thanks for taking the time to be with us tonight. Don't forget to like, follow, subscribe, and share with your friends. We'll see you tomorrow. Good night. Good night. Good night.
Good night. See you tomorrow, 5 p.m.